to the prime time, to the prime time version, because that's more complicated. Just talk me through the various elements, because when it's trying to do naming and shaming as well as makers, describe what the concept of Cowboy Bill's originally was and all those different elements, and then we'll talk about how they weave together.
So Cowboy Bill's Prime Time was an hour-long show, one story per show, where our two presenters, one of whom is a kind of consumer crusader, and one of whom is a sort of not a makeover expert, but someone who is going to take charge of a build, and they are called to action by a homeowner who has had a huge nightmare with a dodgy builder. They meet them, they find out their problems, and remember, early days when we started making the show, one of the big revelations was how many people in the UK seem to have this problem. This was an industry that was, rotten at the core. That we were inundated with stories, because there's something odd about the building industry, because it seems to go wrong an awful lot. So in our show, our two presenters, they hear the sort of terrible tale of woe. Then they split up. One of them investigates the builder who is the cause of the problem, and will always find that there are other victims and there are other terrible things in this person's past. And they're not just a dodgy builder. They're ripping off the VAT man, and they're employing people illegally, and they're selling knocked off things in the backs of pubs. All of this stuff that we'd find out that would make the story really rich. Meanwhile, the other presenter does a makeover, and these were, at the time, we felt these were the kind of biggest makeovers on TV. I don't think that's true anymore. I think DIY SOS massively trumps us, especially do you say they've got Prince Harry and Prince William doing that, Benny. And we do a 2-week build, and we do really, really ambitious things. So we would, it was everything from, a loft conversion that needed fixing, right down to, we built quite big extensions on the backs of people's homes. So those two stories would sort of go along in parallel, the build and all the problems we would have, and always as we were doing this build on this home, we would uncover more problems that the homeowner didn't know about, and this would allow us to have lots of content about the amazing and unusual ways in which homes in the UK are constructed. So we had this other layer about building. Meanwhile, our consumer presenter would be on this investigation, and there was always this sense that we would be building towards this confront, and as we were finding worse and worse things out about this builder, to the point where at the end of this investigation there was nothing else for it but to go and find this person, get their face on TV, expose them so everyone knew what they looked like, what they were about, and and give them a really uncomfortable interview that sort of kind of bottomed out any excuses they might try and make, to see, is this all a misunderstanding? Is this actually a perfectly decent businessman for whom whose project has gone a bit wrong, or is this someone that's unscrupulous and ruthless? We went to find out, and because we'd researched the stories well in advance before we started, we would know the conclusion was always going to end up that they were ruthless individuals who really shouldn't be in that business. The end of the programme was, these two big kind of hits: the confront, where we'd get our presenter would either sit down in an agreed interview with the cowboy builder, and they'd sort of go head to head, and our presenter would just sort of front them up with all of these terrible things we'd said they'd done, the incompetent building, or the sort of whether they had purposely taken money that they had no intention of spending, all this kind of thing. Meanwhile, and that would always be a really exciting dramatic scene. And then the other ending, the sort of double ending, would be the reveal. The build is finished. The homeowner, we'd have sent away for 2 weeks. They'd come back to their home. They'd see this amazing kitchen, or amazing extension, or amazing loft conversion, and almost always weep in sheer joy. So we had this drama, tears, emotion, all in this actually very formatted show, but it always delivered that.